Okay. Great to see you all again, and welcome to Two Protons in a Cloud. We are the weekly live dialogue connecting industry experts to you. I'm Adrienne Kreft, one of your hosts and a technical evangelist for HP Helion.
Hi, and I'm Sujay Maheshwari, your second host, and I'm a dev evangelist at HP Helion. Welcome.
Excellent. So we are in episode 4. As usual, we'll bring you the news bites from around the industry, and then we'll dig into what it means to be a developer on an OpenStack project, how to start, how to contribute, and then spend some time on Cola.
So, as usual, we'll fill you in what's happening in the cloud space this week.
And Sujay, where are you at this week? Because you've been up to a bit on a train, plane, maybe you're hiking the Pacific Coast Trail. With all your jet setting, it's actually good that our first story involves hotels.
Now, this week I am in New York. I did a workshop on cloud native app development at the Velocity conference, and today I came to Philly. So after the conference, I did a meetup there at New York, and today I came to Philly, and now we'll be doing another meetup here. So it's been fun.
Awesome. All right, so kick us off.
So, to offer some news into how cloud relates to real life outside the tech giants, we have been speaking about so many big names in the tech world. Marriott International is jumping into cloud native app development and strategizing ways to reach to customers, particularly millennials.
Awesome. So Marriott's most recent app-centric hotel experience, which is kind of the way to the hearts of 18 to 34-year-olds, include mobile check-in and check-out. We've seen that a few times around. Using the phone as a room key is in testing, which is good for me because I lose my room key every time. You'll be able to order food and beverages from your phone or tablet. They're trying to do a two-way text chat. So with this app, it actually lets guests chat with the hotel associates. So you could text in, hey, I need another pillow, make other requests. I always forget my toothbrush. Another funny thing is in-room virtual reality. So they're saying it's first of its kind, called V-Room service. So it's being tested in a limited release, and you basically get to order this headset. And it's a panoramic, immersive visual and oral experience. So they have these first 3 preloaded, and it's a 3D experience. Andes Mountains in Chile. They have an ice cream shop in Rwanda, and then you can kind of go through 3D of the streets of Beijing, and of course in-room Netflix.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm in Marriott. Unfortunately, I don't have all of these things here, but
Too bad.
maybe I can check with Marriott folks downstairs, and they can start offering 2 Protons free rooms so that we can take this show on the road. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea.
All right, so moving on, Michael Dell, founder of Dell, of course, made headlines, what many may be calling the biggest tech deal in history, a, a whooping 67 billion acquisition of EMC Corp. EMC would add data storage, uh, hardware as well as the data-centric software from VMware and other high-profile businesses to Dell's offering.
Yeah, so in a press statement, Dell and EMC said that a major benefit of the acquisition is EMC's converged infrastructure. So to sell computing, storage, and networking equipment is kind of an easy to install bundle. And I mean, Sujay, that space is growing. So it's a way to gain more revenue from the value of VMware, and that's a major target for them.
Yeah, yeah.
So another item trending in cloud computing, so Amazon's reInvent, the developer conference in Las Vegas last week, they unveiled AWS IoT. So the Internet of Things platform is currently in beta. But from what I gather, it makes it easy for devices like cars, sensor grids, light bulbs, and more to connect to AWS services. So that way companies can store and process and analyze all of this data generated by connected devices globally. So kind of give me a bit more insight, Sujay, on why is this such big news?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So connected devices are usually operated by applications running somewhere else, and these applications running somewhere else, they communicate to these connected devices via APIs because these devices are small and they don't have a lot of storage capability by themselves, and there's some central server running somewhere else. But these devices, as you can imagine, may not always be available to respond to the API calls. Could be many reasons, bad connectivity or power constraints. So AWS IoT is essentially a shadow of each connected device that includes all of the information of the device, its state, what is it up to, and all that kind of stuff, and is always available to those applications that can then check the device status and take actions and go from there. So I think it's the next step in the IoT space. So yeah.
Awesome. And as we've said before, IoT is not just a buzzword, and we can see it from this. So we'll kind of get into our discussion now, so then I can start evaluating whether the Tesla announcement for the long-anticipated self-driving features will help improve my own driving skills in downtown Seattle. I am most excited about AutoPark. So our episode today offers insight from HP Helion MVP Marton Kish. Marton comes from a background in the telecommunications sector. So he is a CTO for a Telenor-owned company. He is currently general manager for Europe at Aptera, and he successfully managed some government-related projects, including the development and operation of EU presidency website of Hungary. He's actually an OpenStack ambassador, founder of the Hungarian OpenStack user group, organizer of OpenStack CEE Day, and an active contributor of multiple OpenStack projects. So really, there is no one better to have on the show. So thank you, Marton, for making time for two protons in a cloud.
Thank you
Welcome,
for the
Martin.
nice.
So to get us started, tell us what's your current role and what it involves.
Okay, guys, thank you for the introduction. And anyway, I have a life and have children and family next to those things. And yeah, actually, I'm contributing to some side projects of OpenStack. So if you maybe you forgot to mention, but we have a OpenStack release day today, and we have a new Liberty release. And for this last Liberty release, we had more than around 2,000 developers who participated to make OpenStack into reality. And basically, I'm just doing a very small part of that and some supporting projects like the Ask Question portal or working on some community portals and helping to migrate some projects into the OpenStack infrastructure. So basically, those are the actual projects where I'm contributing back.
Great. And I mean, you said 2,000 developers. So what is it like being a developer on such a massive project? OpenStack.
Yeah, from one side, it is a great fun. But from the other side, it requires a lot of knowledge and a lot of patience. Because OpenStack is an open source project. And it have a lot of dependencies, a lot of connections. So if you like to start as a newbie, I think the best way to visit or attend an upstream training or something similar, because we have very nice policies and rules how someone can join and start to contribute into the project.
Yeah, great.
Right. So I'll go further deep into that the contribution, and you mentioned 2,000 like develop. Wow, that this is amazing. My I'm a developer, and I have this question all the time when I look at such really good projects as to I want to contribute, but I do not have the time to spend maybe full time on it, or even like few days in a week on it, right? Although I know that I can spend few hours in a week. So for somebody like me, how can I get started? What's the right place where to go so that I can be like, okay, you know what? I'll just look into this particular area and I'll try to spend few hours in a week and I'll ramp up from there. How can I get started? What's your advice for us on that?
Yeah, basically, if you don't have time to develop a new feature like a new ion drive spaceship or something like that, I think the best start to, first of all, you need to read all of the documentation related to contribution and select maybe a small project where you can practice and learn the rules and get some trust. And here you can learn all of the technologies required for contributions. And when you build up this trust and you build up this practice, you can get a chance to get involved into a larger project. So if you like to start tomorrow, I don't like to suggest to start with Nova or Swift or some huge old core projects, but select a small side project and select some very easy tasks, maybe some bug fixes or some very easy small things where you can learn everything which required for the contribution. And it have a learning path. So basically, it requires not just a week or 2 week, maybe it requires a few months of practice. It doesn't mean that you need to spend 2 months with effective work, but you need to be patient and get all of the knowledge, and you need to know the people who are like to work together.
Sure.
Right. Wow. This is very helpful. Thank you very much.
Definitely. And you mentioned, starting on some of the less intense projects, but Project Cola is here now. How do the dynamics of Docker and OpenStack move ahead from here?
Yeah, basically this Cola thing is very fantastic and one of my favorite actually, because after this telecommunication company, I started to build a distribution here in Hungary in a small startup, and we had exactly the same idea, that move all of the services into containers, and now it seems to be a reality now, and some of the companies started to support that project. But we can talk two different things regarding Docker and the containers in this OpenStack space, because Cola is simply containerizing the services of OpenStack. So it is not about the containers where we are launching our instances or customer-faced applications. So yeah, I think it is a fantastic thing, and definitely it will be the future of OpenStack. And especially if we like to provide some facility for the upgrade path, it will be fantastic that we need just upgrade very small components.
Okay. I do have. So I was speaking at this meetup last evening, and there was one more speaker on an OpenStack topic, and one of the questions which came up from a person in the audience was, we are building too many things in OpenStack and it's too complicated, and sometimes you have to bring down the entire OpenStack kind of platform. What if I want just one piece of OpenStack, I want to start with, and related to that, right? I mean, we have Dockers, Mesos, Kubernetes now with Cola release, of OpenStack, where we are bringing in containers. are we complicating things rather than simplifying? What's your take on it, or am I completely wrong here?
Yeah, it is a very interesting question, and I'm very happy to answer that. Because if you like to start a pilot project or start to play with OpenStack, you do not need to deploy everything and configure a one massive, huge, very complex story. You can even pick some very core components and deploy it, and set up some very special cloud infrastructure based on that. So even, for example, I can simply just deploy a keystone and maybe a throw, and can do something valuable from that. So basically, yeah, I don't think that it is very complex. It is complex if you deploy every single part, but if you are seeing just the core components, it is very simple, I think. Of course, it have a learning path. So without the knowledge of the basic terminology, it will be very hard to use OpenStack in the real life.
So I think what we are trying to say here is there is a little bit of learning curve at the beginning, which is the case in a lot of other technologies. But once you get the hang of the initial part, then it smoothens out and things become simple for you as far as the OpenStack goes.
Yeah, I think it is one of the advantages of OpenStack that the API interfaces and the internals of the projects are very similar. So we are developing very small Python microservices.
Right. No, that makes sense. So I hope you answer this question. So one of the questions I have is with any large project, right? There are so many decisions you have to make, and some decisions can go wrong. So would you like to share, or do you know of any decision which OpenStack as a project took wrong and they went in a different direction, and then they realized that no, this was not the path we should have taken, and then they corrected it? Any such incidents you can share with us?
Yeah, I not like to call it incidents. I think OpenStack has a very organic development path. It is a very agile project from that aspect, and I think it is the nature of the OpenStack. If something is going wrong, we can correct it and replace those components. The typical story when the OpenStack was started, we had a built-in Nova networking component that solved the networking part. Then came the Neutron, and Neutron not implemented everything for the first release when it was introduced, but later it evolved into a different level, and I think it has a very, very natural and organic development. So I'm not feared that we have very big failures, because everything is moving into the good direction.
Great. Right. And I think, Martin, too, you are so active in the community. I mean, you're going to the meetups. You're talking to people who see these challenges as they're working through it. So I think you being on the ground and getting that insight is going to help the community overall. And I know you're so open to people kind of asking questions and getting to know it a little bit more. So we appreciate that on our end, certainly. And I did want to touch on, too, that so far the relationship between OpenStack and Cloud Foundry has been great. In your opinion, what do you think the future is going to be like for that?
I think it will be a very nice and happy friendship, but no one sees into the future. But I can imagine very fancy application with Cloud Foundry and OpenStack together. Maybe with the current technology, I can imagine maybe a bare metal OpenStack where the Cloud Foundry is running using Docker containers and providing a different type of performance. So I see a lot of opportunity there.
Okay, Yeah, I'm going to agree, and Sujay, along the same lines of what you think as well.
Uh, Absolutely. I think these two communities, uh, and again, I completely agree because I was talking to, so I was speaking as at the OpenStack meetup group yesterday, and I saw a lot of Cloud Foundry or developers there. And when I asked the organizers as to, I was expecting more of an OpenStack crowd, but what he mentioned is these two communities are converging. They're coming together, and a lot of stuff in the OpenStack world makes sense to the CF guys, and and Cloud Foundry world makes sense to the OpenStack. So absolutely, I think going forward, these two communities should be working together, and that will make a difference. So yeah, uh, Martin, it was great talking to you. Thank you very much. The OpenStack community has gained so much traction. Any events we can see you at this winter?
Yeah, I will go to the Tokyo Summit. Of course, I need to be there. And after that, on the next Monday, when the summit will finish, I will travel to Berlin to the Cloud Foundry Summit. So if
Yay!
anyone likes to talk with me, I will be there and I will be reachable for everyone.
Yes,
Oh.
and maybe we might see you in person. We are also, packing our bags and trying to get to Berlin. So let's see. Uh,
Yeah, and after that, we will do an HP Helion meetup here in Budapest. So if you like to see a wonderful city with ruin pubs and very active downtown life, yeah, let's visit Budapest.
Sounds good. Let's go dancing.
yeah. Thank you for the invitation. Definitely. Uh, all right. So you did a webinar open on OpenStack cloud infrastructure, OpenStack cloud, the magic pill to cure IT problems. We are dropping a link, or we might have already dropped a link to folks who are interested, and we drop the link in the Hangout session. And folks can go and see those webinars. They are pretty good. So thank you again, Martin.
Thank
Yep,
you for the
thank you.
invitation, guys. Thanks.
And I want to call attention, you have a whiteboard behind you, Martin, with a little snail and OpenStack CEE Day. Is that coming up June 2016? Is that what you wrote?
Yeah, it is an Easter egg. And
Oh, that's an Easter egg.
it is a brand new information that it is very hot.
Okay, perfect.
So
Well,
it first in the world.
yeah, well, we will keep on the lookout for that. More exciting announcements and contests. And as Sujay mentioned, 2 Protons is hitting the road in November. Sujay, we should probably buy our plane tickets for Berlin.
Yes.
And as always, we encourage your guys' questions, comments, episode ideas. And next week, we're actually diving into a live demo with another MVP, Nigel Wright. So we look forward to seeing you all. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your afternoons. Thank you, Martin.
Thanks, Martin.